Welcome to our executive leadership team. Welcome to all of our officers in the room for delivery of reports. Councillors, in terms of our presence here today, we haven't had any advice from Councillor Cruz that she won't be attending, and in fact she has provided some information to Marnie in respect of her participation in one of the agenda items today, so we are expecting her to be here, and there's she hasn't indicated that to the contrary. So, councillors, in terms of apologies, I won't recognise Councillor Cruz as being apology at this time. Councillors, I'm going to do a little bit of I suppose, a change around in order of the agenda to allow us to contemplate a leave of absence that was required by Councillor Moriarty, who's provided a medical certificate for the fact that she's had to have some surgery at very short notice and wasn't able to acquire leave of absence at the previous meeting or through the process that we currently have. So, councillors, would someone move, please, that Councillor, moved by Councillor Cypher, seconded by Councillor Burns, for a leave of absence for Councillor Moriarty for today's meeting. So, councillors, it's been moved and seconded. All in favour? Against? Carried. Thank you. So, councillors, as we move through this, and apologies, we have an apology today from Councillor Daniels, who had previously sought a leave of absence and was granted. So she has a leave of absence for today, and now you've acknowledged Councillor Moriarty's leave of absence for today. So can we recognise those apologies, please? Moved by Councillor Carpenter, seconded Councillor Cypher for the apology, and that's correct, Marnie, we're in order? Yep. Councillors, so it's been moved and seconded. All in favour? Against? Thank you, councillors. And all it means is we're down to a few less of us. And councillors, I will leave that open for Councillor Cruz on the basis that she hasn't advised us to the contrary, and we do believe that she will be attending. Councillors, on the behalf of our community, I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet here today, and we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Councillors, I will ask you to look at... Yep.
There's another leave of absence for Councillor Moriarty.
Oh, my apologies. Sorry, we'll go back. Councillors, there was a leave of absence request. The confusion was Councillor Moriarty's request for today. She had previously sought a leave of absence for the following council meeting, that's right?
The 8th of November.
The 8th of November. So, councillors, could someone move a leave of absence for Councillor Moriarty? She has a very important duty for her son. Moved by Councillor Cypher, seconded Councillor Burns. All in favour? Against? Thank you, councillors. I think we better cut it off there, otherwise there'll be none of us left. So, councillors, there is a process there, and thank you, councillors, for observing that. All right, councillors, we go back to those minutes of the General Council meeting from the 13th of September. So, would someone like to move those, please? Moved by Councillor Carpenter, seconded Councillor Brimblecombe. Now, I think Councillor Brimblecombe has indicated there's a couple of things there that might not just be right. Would you like to go through those, Councillor Brimblecombe? Or? And microphone too, please, Councillor Brimblecombe. Yep, you're right. That's three things at once.
Yeah. The first is on page 8. The road naming, proposed naming of Marathon Street, attendance. The vote was 8-0, but it should be 7-0 because Councillor Daniels didn't attend till after that vote.
Thank you. Noted.
And the second was the utilities operational update. There was a vote where Councillor Hayes, you were in the room. You didn't vote, but we don't get the option of not voting. So the vote was 7-0.
Yeah, we recorded it 7-0 because I guess without the nuance, Councillor Brimblecombe, in fact, I hadn't taken the chair back as in my role, so I was actually technically back in the room probably on a very preliminary basis, so we were acknowledging the fact that I wasn't actually in attendance. So the overlap, thank you for noting that, but it obviously was recorded on that basis. But thank you for bringing that to attention because you're absolutely right. All right. So, councillors, if you're under any illusion that we are not going through the minutes, we certainly are. Thank you, Councillor Brimblecombe. Is there any other queries, questions on any of the And we did have on those days, where there's certainly declarations where people are in and out of the room, we certainly have to keep an eye on that attendance and making sure that's correct. So thank you very much for raising that. All right, councillors, if there's no other queries on those, they've been moved and seconded. All in favour? Against? Thank you, councillor. That's with that slight amendment. Thank you. All right. Councillors, any business arising out of those minutes? None there, councillors. And then the review of outstanding meeting actions. Imani, this is the consolidated.
Yes.
So those consolidated, is there some comments on those, please? Councillor Roll, you might have to switch your microphone off, Councillor.
Oh, sorry.
You're right.
Yes, Mayor, I was asking you, discussing this. There's a couple of them that would probably need more discussion about. I suggested going back to the strategy briefing session on a couple of them. And one of them was the one of them is the heavy vehicle safety and productivity program.
Yep.
And also the Springshaw Creek, I just can't see it now, sorry. Springshaw Creek clean out, I suppose you call it. Sorry? Desilting? It's not only desilting, no, okay, that's the thing. But there's other, in that one.
Comments on it, sorry, go, Marty.
Sorry,
Yep.
Councillor Roll, can you say the line number Springshaw Creek is on?
Sorry?
The line numbers from the,
Yeah, I'm trying to find the,
yep.
We'll find it.
the heavy vehicle one is
Got that one. Line 8.
line 8, is it?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes, and the
Springshaw
Springshaw.
Creek is line 4.
Okay. So councillor, I guess the comment there would be the mechanism we asked for as council was that at each 6-monthly rest, we sort of go back and look at the consolidated meeting actions just for a bit of oversight. And if you're agreeable, I think it might be that we include a little bit of an update on these at a strategic meeting so that we can actually go through and actually just couple of things, check that obviously the outstanding meeting actions they are in fact all there, and then a little bit of a clarification on those updates. We don't expect that, I don't think council expect that to be a huge volume of work, but just more of the opportunity of actually discussing those updates. Yeah. Is it okay with you, CEO? That's
Yeah, we want to discuss the whole lease status view, or just those two?
No, just those items that we've raised, yeah.
Yep, got them, thank you.
And I guess the instruction would be, if councillors do want to provide any feedback on others, then obviously we can do that so that officers can be there, so we don't have the whole team sitting there waiting to do things. All right, thank you, councillors. Upcoming agenda items, councillors, we have that mechanism, and obviously we'll utilise that in the event that we need to add or amend what we have in our upcoming agenda items. Right, councillors, in terms of conflict of interest, I am conflicted now myself because Councillor Cruz had actually provided to us a conflict in relation, and I guess, CEO, could we make that conflict on her behalf given that it's actually been provided to us?
Yep. Yes, we can. So it's been provided that Councillor Cruz has declared she wants to inform the meeting that she has a declarable conflict of interest. It relates to item 11.2.1 on the agenda, which is the item regarding community grants, round 2, council community grants. The reason the conflict arises is because the executive committee of one of the organisations that's recommended for a grant to be approved, which is the Capella State School Parents and Citizens Association, is a committee that she sits on, and she proposes to leave the chamber and stay away from the chamber while that matter is being discussed and voted on.
So, Councillor, I don't think that's a problem then. I guess Councillor Cruz is managing to do that now, but I mean, I guess at the time, if she can be here for the discussion, then she'll obviously leave the room. Councillor Carpenter.
Thank you. Mine is the same, but it's for the Springsure Working Horse Association, and I propose to do the same thing, leave the meeting. Thank you.
One, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, we've got plenty. Yeah, just count a few numbers there. Yeah, we'll have a quorum, that's fine. Councillor Cruz will be back in the room to discuss that one if need be. Is the report such that it's in globo?
It's one.
They might both be out of the room, so we have got a quorum. Yep. All right, we can pivot if we need to do that. So, all right, councillors, just acknowledging those two conflicts of interest that we've been made aware of, and certainly the activity around Councillor Cruz's participation will depend on obviously her presence here. All right, councillors, we'll get into our decision action reports. And this first report obviously comes under our Chief Financial Officer, Arun, and that relates to 11.1.1, which is our monthly finance report. Yeah. Yep. Sorry, just before you start, Helen, as an order of business for us today, I might just let the CEO organise in the executive leadership team that you see sitting up here today. There's one of these is not like the others. We've got Daryl Hitzman sitting right next to me here. Jason Houlihan, for reasons of his cold, has removed himself into isolation at the far left. Daryl has taken his seat here. We've been introduced to Daryl in his role here, but I might let the CEO just lead in there, please. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So Daryl, we welcome Daryl Hitzman. He is Acting General Manager, People, Safety and Legal, which is a temporary position pending that has come in to assist us during a particularly high workload period. So Daryl is observing today, this is his first meeting, items that fall into that, those functional areas will be handled by General Manager Knudsen, General Manager of Commercial and Corporate Services, as they usually fall into her area. This is related to an item of business later on the agenda today regarding a proposed structural change. This is a temporary arrangement that's in place leading up to that decision. So Daryl's here observing today. Welcome, Daryl. Just thought we'd explain who the new face is at the General Manager's tables.
Yep. Well done. Okay, thank you very much. I'll hand over to you, Arun. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Good morning, councillors. The monthly finance report is presented to Council for adoption for the period ending 31st of August 2023. This report provides progress made against the original adopted budget and is in accordance with Section 204 of the Local Government Regulations 2012. I will now invite our Manager of Finance, Helen Kirby, to present the report in detail. Thank you, Helen.
Thank you, CFO. Through the Chair, and good morning, councillors. The tabled report presents a detailed overview of Council's financial performance at the end of August, measured against the original budget. Council adopted a total budget of $292 million on the 28th of June, which includes operating expenditure of $186.5 million and capital expenditure of $98 million. At the end of August, the year-to-date operating result is favourable to budget by $4.4 million. Year-to-date operating revenues are in line with budget and are strong at the end of August due to the issue of the first half rates levy at the end of the month. Both operating expenses and capital expenditure are tracking under budget 2 months into the new financial year. Operating expenses at the end of August are just under $4 million less than the year-to-date budget, due mainly to the timing of spend on contractors and consultants. Actual capital expenditure recorded at the end of August is $4.3 million, representing 4% of the full-year CapEx budget. When commitments of $25.4 million are factored in, the total year-to-date spend increases to just under $30 million, or 30% of the full-year CapEx budget. Council's total cash holdings at the end of August are $85 million. The timing of the actual spend on capital works projects has an impact on the level of cash outflows, and the timing of the actual receipt of rates and water levies has a material impact on cash inflows. Cash inflows will increase during September with the payment of the first half rates levy due by the 28th of September. Borrowings stand at $75 million, which includes the drawdown of $10 million at the end of last financial year to fund identified capital works projects. Combined overdue property-related debts for rates and water were $7 million at the end of August. This amount does not include the first half rates levy issued at the end of August, as these notices are not due until the end of September. It is expected that the debt recovery action associated with the first half rates levy, which will be instigated by mid-October, will assist in recovering overdue prior year balances. The first half water levy is planned to be issued within the first week of October and will be due within 30 days. Information about the new electronic notice option will be included with the water notices for ratepayers. A number of ratepayers have already formally signed up to receive their notices by email and will receive their first half water notices electronically instead of by post. Ratepayers are always encouraged to contact council if they are concerned about meeting their rating commitments, as there are various options that may be applicable to their individual circumstances. Other miscellaneous or sundry debtors, which includes invoicing for other council activities such as airport, sale yards, refuse and contract works, were $2.9 million at the end of August. Approximately 73% of this balance relates to current invoices raised in August that are not yet overdue. Council's standard payment terms for miscellaneous debtors is 30 days from the date of the invoice. All of Council's 5 business activities recorded operating surpluses at the end of August. The trend for the recovery in passenger numbers at the Emerald Airport is continuing, with the highest number of passengers recorded in August since July 2015. The waste business activity recorded a better than expected year-to-date operating surplus at the end of August due to increased refuse disposal activity. The sale yards business activity also recorded a better than expected year-to-date operating surplus at the end of August by $22,000. The year-to-date number of cattle sold at the end of August is approximately 2,000 higher than for the same period last year. While the water utilities business recorded a year-to-date surplus of $421,000 at the end of August, compared to an expected budget deficit of $929,000, this was due to the timing of spend on contractors and consultants. Procurement data for the month of August shows that the amount of spend on local suppliers has increased by 8% from last month. However, from a year-to-date perspective, local spend is still less than spend with suppliers outside the region. That concludes my report, and a recommendation is made that Council adopts the monthly financial report for August. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Helen. Councillors, questions? Councillor Rolfe, yeah.
Helen, I spoke to Ron earlier. Just going back to page 131, about the sustainability, the new sustainability guidelines. Just a quick catch-up. When's the annual statutory reporting period, etc.? Just a bit more information about that, the new sustainability guidelines, please.
Okay. Thank you for that question. So the new sustainability guidelines, we don't formally have to commence reporting on them till the financial statements for 23-24, and they will also, as part of our budget development for next financial year too, we'll have to take them into consideration. But for the purposes of the finance report, we thought we'd introduce them earlier, so just so we become familiar with them, and just to give us probably better insight into our financial sustainability, because they are a lot more extensive than the current three ratios.
Thank you. And the other one was the waste activity and conducting a public benefit assessment. Is that When's that happening?
Yep, so that's underway. So I've been through the procurement process and have awarded the work to AEC Group, who are very well versed in public benefit assessments. They actually undertook our PBA for our water and sewage businesses a number of years ago. So they'll commence work shortly. They have indicated the process may be completed by the end of December. So we'll probably work towards that. So there's just a number of stages we have to go through and provide them with some various information.
Yeah, sure.
But I'll report back on that once we start getting into those various stages.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Roll. Councillors, any other questions, queries? All good, thank you. It's very comprehensive again, Helen, and it's good to see, obviously, a lot of the tracking positive at the moment. I guess
At the moment.
we all hold our breath, don't we, waiting for things to change there, but certainly a very, very solid performance today. Councillors, the recommendation there is that the Central Highlands Regional Council adopt that monthly financial report for the period ended 31st August 2023. Is someone happy to move that? Moved by Councillor Brimley-Combe, seconded Councillor Carpenter. All in favour? Against? Thank you, councillors. That's carried. Well, we might have done Councillor Cruz a favour here because she's not here for this next agenda item, which is the community grants 11.2.1. As previously mentioned, Councillor Carpenter is going to leave the room for this conversation around certainly that grant round result. I'll hand over to our General Manager Communities, John McDougall, and he can lead us in with his team here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, just want to welcome Chantel. I think this is your first time presenting. So Chantel Macklin is our one of our newer Community Development and Engagement Officers. So welcome, Chantel. But this morning, councillors, the Community Grants Program, as you will be aware, provides opportunity for community groups and organisations to seek grants to support their local projects. This contributes to the quality of life and livability of the Central Highlands. The program runs 2 rounds per year in February and August. I'll now pass over to our Community Development and Engagement Officer, Chantel Macklin, and our Coordinator, Arts and Engagement, Katarina Hatzipeni-Goddess, to tell us more. Over to you, team. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Chantel. Yeah.
Hello. Thank you, General Manager McDougall, and through the Chair. The Community Grants Program offers the community the opportunity to apply for grants in 3 categories. The categories are Community Assistance Grant, which is for organisations with a community focus. Their main objective is to provide community benefit outside of sport and recreation activities. Funding is to a maximum of $5,000. The second is the Sports and Recreation Assistance Grant. This is for the organisations whose objective is to provide organised sport and recreation activities. The funding is to a maximum of $5,000. The third is the Community Improvement Grant. This is for both community-focused organisations and the sport and recreation organisations with the aim of achieving aspirations of the community. Funding is to a maximum of $20,000. The allocated budget for the Community Grants Program this financial year is $330,000, shared between the 3 categories. This equates to $165,000 made available per round. The Community Assistance Grant Panel met on the 11th of September to assess round 2 of 2023 applications. This round, the Council received 20 community grant applications. Of these, 5 applications were ineligible and 15 were eligible. Eligible applications totalled $186,666.08. With the additional returned funds from previously approved completed projects, available funds for the round totalled $166,144.93. The panel recommends that 14 of the 15 eligible applications be funded to the value of $166,144.93. This includes full funding for the 13 applications and partial funding for 1 application. The list of grants nominated for endorsement is included in the report. All applications will be advised of their application's outcome in writing, with feedback available to any unsuccessful and ineligible applicants upon request. We will now hand over to the councillors for any questions.
Thank you very much, Chantel. Councillors, I think it's been useful. I mean, we obviously acknowledge and certainly those organisations are very appreciative of these grants, but I guess in terms of the ineligibility, I know your report talks about continuing to work with them. Is that a high number of ineligibilities, or is that just a cyclical sort of incident? Yeah.
Through the chair, it can be a variety of reasons. It can be potentially the type of project that they're requesting. They're an eligible organisation, but the layout of their project or the proposal itself is not eligible. There are situations where the actual applicant themselves are not eligible for, such as their membership is not predominantly within the Central Highlands region, and so they would be suited to apply for, through the community support program, for example, for sponsorship or event assistance or something of that kind of nature. So it can vary, and we don't necessarily kind of go into detail in the report for public record, but we do work with each of those applicants and make sure that we either direct them to the more appropriate place or give them the pointers to understand the parameters of the guidelines.
Yeah, thank you, Kat. It's a case of I'm really, really confident that obviously there's a lot of work that goes into these, and it's just good sometimes, because I guess our aim is always to provide as much as we can to as many as we can, and as long as we're providing that feedback and assistance to keep that flowing, and it doesn't preclude anyone from sharpening it up a little bit, or obviously acknowledging that there's probably a better place for them to seek some funding. So as long as that's forthcoming, I think that's important to know. So thank you very much for that answer. Councillor Swiper.
Thank you. I think it's really great to see community groups actually being proactive to seek funding, because there is a bit of work in writing a grant application, and to improve their facilities without always asking council to do it. So I think that's really great. The question I do have is, within the criteria of the grant, there's a requirement to, and I should have checked this up, but I didn't double check the criteria. They have to provide their financials and justify, if they've got, say, $1 million in their account, justify why they are seeking a grant if they've got $1 million, hypothetically speaking. That's still the case, isn't it?
That is correct. Through the chair, Councillor Seifer, there is the requirement to provide that information, I guess provide the financial statement, and then we also ask the questions in the application to explain, currently it's a question that asks for an explanation as to the other activities that have been undertaken to try and fund the project, and if that, there is an available amount in their accounts, an explanation as to what that money is intended to be spent on, if not for this project. That was a discussion point with the panel as well, as currently the questions are kind of combined. We did discuss that as a panel, and there's been a slight adjustment to the application form, so just the layout of the questions and separating those out, so it's more distinct and clear that we are, the amount of information that we're looking for, to make sure that all of those points are being addressed. And where it wasn't fully answered in the application, we did follow up with the applicants, and they provided that information.
Oh, so I was talking hypothetically, sorry.
Well,
so there has been an incident. Not an incident, but a project that I was speaking hypothetically. Sorry.
And it's I guess we won't go into detail about anyone's financial situation, but there are cases where, if it's a $5,000 project, or even sometimes a $20,000 project, that money might be in their account at the time of the financial statement being provided, or that's part of their operating they have that money in the bank so that they can conduct their operations day to day for the members, or whatever other, they might be working towards another project that they've got that funding set aside for as well. So there have been instances where that's been picked up in the application, and that's it's been reviewed, and
we refer to that question, and usually the question is answered, and if the question is not fully answered to the satisfaction of all the panel members, we do that follow-up, and usually we can kind of close the loop on that, and if, I guess, depending on what that response is, the panel members will score accordingly based on whether they feel that that is a sufficient explanation.
Excellent, thank you for that.
Yep. Thank you very much, Katerina. Other questions, councillors? All right, well, councillors, the recommendation there is obviously that we approve the $166,144.93, which is of those 14 applications there that are columnised. Per the current grants program assessment panel's recommendation and guidelines. So someone happy to move those? Moved by Councillor Cyphers, second Councillor Brimblecombe. All in favour? Against? Carried.
Thank you, councillors.
Thank you, Katerina. Thank you, Chantal.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, councillors, it's officially in the conversation now. Next agenda item that comes under the hand of Carrie in her corporate and commercial and corporate services area is the Christmas New Year closure. So,
Just grab councillor.
yeah, we'll get Councillor Carpenter. She doesn't want to close for Christmas, so. So we're officially on the slippery. We're officially on the slippery slope, councillors. This is obviously school holidays finishes this Friday, so we're in the last term. So over to you, Carrie, and you can lead us through it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through the Chair, good morning, councillors. Council has traditionally closed all administrative buildings and libraries over the Christmas and New Year period and has done so for many years. In 2022, council offices were closed for the period between 12 p.m. on Friday the 23rd of December 2022 and 5 p.m. Monday the 2nd of January 2023 inclusive. I now hand over to the Acting Manager of Customer Service, Rachel McFarlane, to take council through this report.
Thank you, General Manager Knudsen. As mentioned previously, council has closed for extra days, excluding the statutory holidays. This year, it would be from 12 p.m. Friday, the 22nd of December 2023 and Monday, the 1st of January 2024. Staff have the availability to take these days as leave, such as rostered days off or annual leave. The availability of staff required for disaster management and or emergencies will be coordinated. Contact details will be readily available for staff rostered to respond to emergent situations. And the closure would be extensively advertised and arrangements would be put in place for information to be made available after hours via Council's telephone, answer service and website. Whilst it is acknowledged that a portion of staff would normally take the opportunity to extend this break to include days prior to or following the proposed closure, minimal staffing levels would be maintained to continue standard operation of council offices and libraries. I will now hand over to the councillors for any questions.
Councillors, questions on staffing? I know it comes to us, I guess, for our approval, so it is then disseminated through the organisation, so there's an awareness. So if there's no questions, councillors. Sorry, go, Councillor Rolfe.
Yeah, so just further down, it talks about the Thierry Transaction Centre. So will we have to come back with another recommendation about the Thierry Centre because we don't know of their Glencore's closure?
Through the Chair, Councillor Rolfe, I'll have to take that one on notice. The report was written by Rebecca Brosnan, so I'm not sure of the background as to the Thierry Transaction Centre, unless General Manager Knudsen has something she can add.
Just, through the Chair, my understanding is that previously this has been the situation where the mine has remained open during that period, but the Thierry Centre has closed as a matter of custom and practice. But certainly we can take that on notice. Yeah.
Yeah, the town office, I think, does stay open. Yep. All right, councillors, the recommendation is there. The Central Highlands Regional Council endorses those couple of things: to close all admin buildings and libraries from period 12 p.m. Friday 22nd of December and up to and including Monday the 1st of January and reopening on Tuesday the 2nd of January 2024. And the second part is to provide appropriate public notices and telephone answering service to ensure residents and customers have an avenue for any emergent matters during that period, as is normally the case. Someone happy to move that? Moved by Councillor Roll, seconded Councillor Carpenter. All in favour? Against? Thank you, councillors. That's carried. Thank you very much, Carrie. Thank you, Rachel. Right, 11.5 sits under the CEO's office, and that's related to the council meeting dates for 2024. For the rest of this quadrennial, so CEO,
Thank you, Mayor. So, standard report, but not quite. So moving into 2024, we obviously have the council election early in the year, and so just putting up recommended meeting dates following our normal program of one meeting in January, 2 meetings in February and 1 meeting in March. The January meeting is not listed on this report because that was already included in last year's version of this report, and so that's already been adopted as one of the meeting dates for January 2024. So the 3 meetings that we are recommending at this stage are Wednesday 14th of February, Wednesday 28th of February and Wednesday 13th of March 2024, following our normal pattern of 2 meetings per month, after which, when the council election has taken place, we'll bring another report to council in relation to adopting meeting dates for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. And just out of general information, I guess, in terms of the caretaker provisions that'll come into effect in late January, then obviously that will probably influence the nature of reports to those meetings, and just as a general advice to everyone that business continues.
That's correct, Mayor. Business will continue. However, in compliance with the caretaker conventions, there can't be any major policy decisions in those three meetings, and we will carefully manage the agenda preparation to make sure that no major policy decisions come to council during that time, and that other caretaker conventions are complied with.
Yep. Thank you. Councillor Roll.
So the second meeting in February is Capella. Will we still hold a meeting in Capella without the community consultation?
Good question, Councillor Roll. It was raised.
Yeah, we were going to. We weren't proposing to hold the meeting in Capella at that particular point in time because we don't expect much to be on the agenda as such. But once the new term of councillors do become elected and are sworn in, we will endeavour to have a meeting in Capella at some point.
And also in relation to community consultations, they won't occur during the caretaker period. And because there's not the opportunity to have the community consultation, we thought it best to hold over having the council general meeting.
That's why I was asking whether it was going to be there.
Does that make sense, councillors? I think that does, doesn't it? I mean, it just in terms of timing, this is only going to happen every 4 years, maybe. So I guess there'll be the provision with the new council to make their decisions if they want to in those locations. So, all right. Sorry, that's just I know a little bit of a side issue, but they're the dates. Sorry, Councillor Carpenter.
No, just for clarity for people that will read what's happening around for dates and this, is there some way that we could include in the motion the January date just to confirm that that will happen, so that
There's a sentence in the report covering that. It's just not in the actual recommendation part of the report, but it's in the public document with the council papers, the reason for that. I mean, it's no issue. If you would prefer, we can add to that recommendation, noting that the January meeting date has previously been approved by council.
that would be my preference.
Yeah.
To note it in the
It's all, the date's already advertised on the website for the January meeting as well.
Is it already supported by resolution?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
So it is under a resolution.
Yeah, I
it is,
understand.
yeah. No, good point, Councillor Carpenter. So, Marnie, if you could add
Just, I wanted to do number 2.
2024 has previously been. So the recommendation's amended.
Yep, there we go. Happy with that amendment, councillor?
can-
Oh, sorry, councillor Symonds.
Sorry, I just want to really throw a spanner in the works and actually look at option 2, to have one council meeting in February. Just that I find our agendas are increasingly less, and as we go into caretaker mode, I imagine we'll be having a few February meetings of about an hour, 2 hours. I really can't see the sense in having 2 February meetings. And I know we could hold that over to a new council and they could decide what they want, but I would just like to discuss option 2.
Option 2. Oh, hang on, I'm in the wrong report. Sorry, councillor, sorry, I'm in the wrong report. I was looking, yeah, option 2.
178.
So councillor, yeah, go, councillor Rob. That's worth
So if
discussing.
you, I'm just thinking, depending on when the caretaker mode, what date it is
Yes.
in February.
We expect it to commence on the 29th of January.
Oh, so both of those meetings will be in caretaker mode.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
And the thing is, as you can understand, and more to councillor Cypress' point, if you have just the one meeting, I mean, if there was an urgent need to have a whole heap of things, you can have a special meeting. That's why that provision is there. So it could make sense if that's what you wanted to do. Yep. Councillor Burns, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's, as far as I can see, the only downside would be if there's something urgent and if we can call a special meeting to solve it or something, I don't know, emergency. Yeah, nothing major, but like if it's,
Well, as I
only
said,
if we have to respond to something, I suppose.
there's a provision there, councillor Burns, if there was something enduring, as long as there's appropriate notification of the meeting, that can happen. So what would be the preferred time of it? Sorry, go.
Yeah, through the chair, probably where the mayor was going to go. Just flagging, I know the 28th of February meeting, certainly from a community's perspective, we've got a number of reports that are planned to come to that meeting that are critical for timing. So if I could ask, if you were going to go back to one, preferred that it would be that second date in February, if that's okay by councillors, but just...
Councillor, anyone have any objection to that? I mean, on the basis of what we have at the moment, you could go there. If you need to have the other meeting, well, then obviously we can create another meeting, or leave the dates, or whatever you choose.
So,
I just thought
Yep,
that
no,
I saw it
that's-
there and I just thought it would be catch-up time for staff, but you've already got gender rights planned in February. You're barely up to date. It's just what other councillors who haven't spoken yet might think.
Councillors, happy with that option, maybe?
Just as General Manager McDougall said, just there's some grants there that are coming along, which I can't remember the exact dates, but
Through the chair, that's the RADF grant, so that's the one that it's critical for that date, so. But that is that 28th February one, so if I can ensure that we keep that date, then, and I no doubt Susan will be listening in, that she won't be having a heart attack, in the back office, so.
That's for council grants.
For RADF grants,
Yeah.
yes.
So for other external grants, General Manager Houlihan, if there were to be a closing date for external grants that you needed a resolution from council around applying for those grants, and it wasn't a major policy decision, then there would need to be a special meeting called, is that correct?
Thank you, CEO. Yeah, I'd assume that would be the case if there was a grant funding application that needed a timeframe. As we see, often sometimes the timeframes are very short in the application period. If that was the case, then we may need to have a separate special council meeting.
All right. So the proposal would be at this stage, we're going to go with option 2. So that's the one meeting in February on the 28th. So bearing in mind you're meeting on the 24th of January, that's only a 4-week sort of break, I guess you'd say. So there'll be a lot of, it's not an insurmountable period of time, so. Sorry, go, Councillor Ross.
Mayor, governance question, I suppose. If we decide, would we have to call it a special meeting if we had to have another one in February? Because we've, okay, because we've
If this is approved, if this,
taken that one out. So you couldn't just say, sorry, it was, yeah, okay, that's fine.
yes, we would need to, but it's not a difficult process to call it.
Councillor Carpenter as well.
Right.
Councillor Carpenter.
Well, councillors, that's what we'll, well, Councillor Carpenter, sorry, thank you.
I think my question would it be easier to leave the dates there and cancel a meeting, or does it work the other way?
Yeah. Through the chair, the other way would be, through the chair, the other way would be an easier administrative process to actually have the one meeting and then call a special meeting is an easier process than having council adopt 2 council meetings and then cancel one.
Yeah, we generally don't cancel one. People always feel obliged to bring something to them, so I guess, you know, this is the discipline, I guess, of the dates. And if there was something absolutely compulsion, well, then you'd ask for a special meeting. It's happened once or twice, but not very often. All right, well, councillors, let's move on one. This is the adopted, the option 2, which would be that the General Council meetings, other than the noting of the January meeting being on the 24th, that there'd be one meeting in February on the 28th and then the March meeting as well. So someone happy to move that? Moved by Councillor Cypher, seconded. Councillor Rolfe, all in favour? Against? Carried. Good idea, Councillor Cypher. Well done. Thank you. Very good. Right, councillors, councillors, there is no other agenda items that we have outside of our closed session. So, councillors, sorry? There's a late agenda item. You are right, Councillor Cypher. Thank you very much. Yeah, if that's, is that okay? Yeah, late and then close, and then I guess it's just if streamers want to leave us, then well, that's they can get on with that. Right. So we need someone to. We're just getting Ivan to come up. Yep. All right, councillor. So. Just while Ivan's heading up here, obviously Carrie will introduce him, and this is the Safety and Wellness Annual Report to the end of June 2023. So Ivan in his role will obviously help us digest this when he comes up here. So we'll do that agenda item, and then it should allow us a little bit of time to discuss the items that are in the closed session. There's a couple there, which is quite unusual, but we've got a couple today, and then we'll obviously we'll deal with in the final general business items, and we'll close our meeting then. So we'll just wait for Ivan.
Ivan's on his, sorry, through the chair, Ivan's on his way.
Sorry to hunt you, Ivan. We changed it around a little bit on you, so that wasn't quite fair, but anyhow, I'll leave it to General Manager Carrie to do the introductions. Thanks for coming up, mate.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Through the chair, in September 2022, Council commenced the implementation of Council's Work, Health and Safety 5-year strategy 2022-27. The strategy identifies a vision for embedding a safety culture within Council, its suppliers and partners. A Work, Health and Safety Management Action Plan was developed for delivery over the next, that following 5-year period. I now hand over to the Acting Manager of Safety and Wellness, Ivan Frew, to take council through the 2022-23 progress towards the implementation of council's Work, Health and Safety Management Action Plan 2022-27.
Welcome, Ivan.
Good
Just pull
morning.
that microphone closer if you need to, yeah, thank you.
Great. So happy to take questions as we go. I'm happy to go through the action plan. I don't know how much detail you want me to give, but so the main body of the actions from the action plan are in relation to due diligence training and risk management training for all levels of council. So that's been undertaken training for supervisors, coordinator level. We have management, GM level have been given risk management training. There's a development of a supervisor toolkit to provide risk management training, SWIMS training, safe work method statement training, and risk management training. So, I mean, I guess with any organisation, this type of training is ongoing and should be repeated, and we're just in that process. There's been some proactive health initiatives that were run through the financial year. So they're things like health monitoring, getting baseline levels of things like silica dust exposure, asbestos exposure, noise levels. None of those testing procedures have identified any high-risk items. It's all under control. We completed the implementation of our contractor induction system, which is called LinkSafe. It's a fairly comprehensive system and a monitored system. So it's fairly powerful. So a project owner would set limits or sets minimum standards that they want the workers, the contractors to have. That system then, as the worker works through their induction process, is required to prove that they have those minimum standards, and that's monitored off-site so that the council can feel confident that the workers that come on site have met the minimum standards. So things like, might be something as simple as a driver's license, or it could be a trade certificate, or it could be a certificate in relation to working at heights. And that has to be checked and approved, and they can't move through the system until that's identified. So it's quite a good system, and it seems to be working well. There was a self-insurance audit completed, and there was an action plan created from that audit, and we're working through that. It's we've met all our targets in relation to that. There's 2 small actions that we've asked for an extension to, only because we wanted to do a little bit more work in relation to risk management. We've got till December to finish those 2, but they'll be done by October. So we're well on the way to meeting all our targets in relation to the action plan. We'll move on to incidents. There's been a number of 3 high-level incidents and 1 extreme level. Of those 4 incidents, there's no injuries associated. So they were all near misses or plant damage type incidents. Of the injury data, I guess, or the incident data, the standout for me is that we've had a reduction of injury and illness type incidents in the year from the previous year, but at the same time we've had an increase in the notification of near misses and improvement opportunity type incidents. So from a health and safety point of view, that's fairly significant, that we're reducing the injuries, but we're getting more notifications. You can't get a better trend in safety. That's all you really want. Lost time injuries per 100 people, our average is lower than local government work cover averages. So we're tracking quite well there. Observation reporting. There's, I guess, some argument about what's happened with the observation reporting. My view of looking at the data is that we're reporting hazards in a different way. So there was a process where lots of hazards were reported, where now we're reporting incidents, or we're doing job safety observations instead. It's just a different way that the system's recording it. I've got a lot of confidence that we're actually recording more hazards than we were previously. It's just in a different form. From the work cover audit uses a national self-insurance tool audit, which is a national standard. That's mandated by Workplace Health and Safety Queensland. So that audit was a fairly comprehensive audit, conducted, I believe, over a number of days. It was before my time. The local government, LGW, employ an auditor to do that. The action plan, we passed the audit, which was great. There's an action plan created from that. There was no high-risk actions on that action plan. So the action plan, most of the elements have now been completed. There's a few that we have till 2024 to complete, to give an understanding of how, there wouldn't have been an audit I've ever seen where you don't get some actions coming out of it. No one's perfect. So it was quite acceptable, and we're working through those actions and getting them sorted. Significantly, a total of 5 high-risk items were removed from the asbestos register. So probably all aware of the roof on Blackwater Tower was a major risk. It was removed. There was smaller but still high-risk items in different areas around council, and they've all been reduced or removed. So that's good. And there's a note here at the bottom, of course, the serious and tragic incident at Acadia Valley is still under investigation. Council's cooperating with the authorities. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Councillors, comments out. Councillor Swiper.
Thank you. Thank you for the report. I often struggle with the role of the elected representative. A councillor is never ever taken into consideration in workplace health and safety. And what I mean by that is we are not employees, we're not contractors, so we're not covered in any of that. Yet I think as a councillor, we face a lot of risk, particularly driving, fatigue driving. We aren't, even in our induction process, we do not touch on safety, our safety or our responsibilities, personal responsibilities. Everyone's responsible for safety, so we are responsible for that. But there isn't even any guidelines. We're not included in any safety talks. I see a huge risk for councillors, particularly with our region being so large. There are days that we can be travelling for 6-7 hours in a car, leaving very early in the morning and getting home late at night. Many of us do night meetings, you know, we haven't even been, in the 10 years I've sat here, never once has the process of that little red emergency button in my car ever been explained to me. I think there should be something written into here for councillors, for elected representatives. I think the organisation, does the organisation not have a responsibility for the councillors? Does it not matter if we're smashed up against a tree in the middle of the night? I've raised this before, yet I don't see whether I'm supposed to be reading my role into here somewhere, but the word contractor is mentioned here, the word executive leadership team is in here. There's nowhere that we are represented. I was going to use a lot stronger word, but I won't, seeing it's an open meeting. So just comments on that, thank you.
And thank you, councillor. Through the chair, councillors had the opportunity as elected members to undertake some training in August in terms of their responsibilities under the Workplace Health and Safety Act. And during that session, we discussed about fatigue management and the policies that are associated with councillors and their duties as elected members. There was some discussion around how they undertake a risk assessment. So as any officer within council, whether that's an elected member or a member with responsibilities under the Act, everyone has responsibilities under the Workplace Health and Safety Act. So it's in relation to taking risk assessment as to say, for example, a councillor was travelling late at night and they felt that they were fatigued, they would undertake a self-risk assessment and then contact the mayor to get some support to stay overnight, for example. So certainly, and I apologise if you were unable to attend that session, we can certainly undertake a micro session afterwards. We've got the information that we can provide to you and any other elected member that would like.
What date was that session?
Just double check. 23rd of August.
It focused
I was away.
It focused more on duties, but specifically related to elected members. But and already raised, it's already been identified as an item for the next induction, for there to be specific coverage of elected members, both duties and responsibilities, but also rights. You are covered under work health and safety. I take your point, not mentioned in the report as a specific grouping, but we do have a duty of care to councillors, just like we do to employees, just like we do to contractors, and just like we do to all other persons under the Work Health and Safety Act. We have that duty, and we went through those duties at that session. But I take on board the point, and we have already identified that the next council induction needs to have more of an emphasis on how that works with elected representatives, because it is a different category when you understand the legalities of the Work Health and Safety Act, where elected representatives fall in both in terms of rights and responsibilities is a little different, but that you are covered. So we did that session to try and cover off on that gap, and as General Manager Knudsen said, we're happy to do a catch up with you.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing that. Yeah, appreciate that.
Thank you. So it can't be an action in here to run a session with councillors, like as an every year?
Catch-up session on the last session for anyone who wants it, and also with induction for the new council, and then I take the request is for an annual refresher.
Yeah, I'd like to see it actually documented in here.
This is a report of what has been done, so I'll take it as an action, and then you can expect in next year for us to report against that action.
Yes, please.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Cyber. Councillor Burns.
Thank you. Just going back to your report, Ivan, it's good that the incidents are down and the near misses have gone up. It shows that they're actually reporting little stuff, so they're actually looking at the safety aspect of what happens. So it might not look positive through the wording, but it is.
Yeah. It always looks like a bit of an irony, doesn't it, that the more reported incidents of near misses is actually increasing and is viewed by Workplace Health and Safety as a positive. And I guess you've really got to make sure that you're reading it for the right reasons and looking for the right solutions there when you read that. So I take your point, Councillor Burns, yeah.
You don't want a situation where workers don't feel they can come forward with incidents. Those near misses really are your opportunity. That's a free lesson to improve safety.
Yeah. Thanks, Ivan. Councillor, any questions? Queries? All right, thank you. The recommendation is there that we receive that Central Highlands Regional Council's Work, Health and Safety 5-year strategy progress report for the period 1 July 2022 to 30 June 23, and report as the Council's Work, Health and Safety performance for 22-23. Someone happy to move that? Moved by Councillor Carpenter, seconded by Councillor Brimblecombe. All in favour? Oh, someone's rung the bell. Carried. Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Ivan. Right, councillors, well, that's all of the agenda items we have we have two other agenda items for closed session discussion, so would someone move that we go into closed session? Moved by Councillor Brimble, second Councillor Burns, that we move into closed session. All in favour? Carried, thank you. We'll just ask our like Sorry.
Carrie's just making sure she's got your back.
Yep, absolutely. It's all good. Yeah, we'll send it back.
We've got the amended resolution in.
All right, welcome back to our live streamers, to our council meeting, and we move back to our agenda. Now, two items, and I guess I'll rely a little bit on the screen here, I guess, in terms of the change to at least one of the resolutions slightly. In terms of item 1.1, which relates to the organisational structure, the resolution is there that the Central Islands Regional Council adopts the organisational structure for a 2-year period in accordance with Section 196/1 of the Local Government Act 2009 as a resourcing necessary for the performance of its local government responsibilities and in delivering the requirements of the corporate and operational plans. Is someone happy to move that? Moved by Councillor Roll, seconded by Councillor Bimblecombe. All in favour? Against? Councillor Carpenter, would you like your vote recorded? Councillor Carpenter recorded her vote against that. Councillors, the second item, and this is lot 3 and lot 4 on SP 156185. So, councillors, in relation to that, there's 3 parts to that. That is to dispose of the proposed lots that will be created from the parent lots 3 and 4 on that SP 156185. The Department of Energy and Public Works for the purpose of constructing government employee housing for no less than the market value. And 2, pursuant to section 236(1)(b, is that I or J? I of the Local Government Regulation 2012, the exemption be applied to dispose on the basis that the Department of Energy and Public Works is a government agency, so that is allowed an exemption. And the third part of that is the delegation of authority to the Chief Executive Officer to negotiate and execute all the necessary documents to facilitate the realignment of the lot and dispose of the Department of Energy and Works. So, Councillor, that's quite a long proposal. Is someone happy to move that, please? Moved by Councillor Cypher, seconded by Councillor Brimblecombe. All in favour? Against? Thank you, councillors. That is carried. Thank you very much for your patience, councillors. Thank you, officers, for that report and the detail. Councillors, as I said before, we have been acknowledged rather informally, but certainly to acknowledge Councillor Rachel Cruz's emergent situation that allowed her not to be here today. So on that basis, could someone please move that we accept her apology? Moved by Councillor Cypher, seconded Councillor Wimblecombe. All in favour? Against? Thank you, councillors, and we'll certainly keep in touch and make sure we're conscious of Councillor Cruz's welfare and her family. All right, councillors, general business. None to record. Well, council, there being no further business, I'll declare our general council meeting closed at 11 a.m. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our live streamers. Thank you, officers.